era we live
John
in.
Legend.
John Legend.
Changing the lyrics to Baby It's Cold Outside.
Because that's apparently about date rape.
Well, yeah, the guy pushes himself on a woman or something.
And he tells her, have one more drink. Maybe you should stay. It's too cold
Yeah,
outside.
you can't play that anymore.
So he changed it to like, I called you an Uber.
Funny.
His name is Gruber.
Funny.
No, it's not. It's the era we live in. I'm more with the date rape cult.
Yeah, actually,
You
that
can
sounds
do that
awful
on
fun
like
to me.
Cinemax After Dark. Just can't do it on the public airwaves.
We are the official
So my
sports
wife
talk
took the wrong
station
car
of your
this
Georgia
morning.
Bulldogs.
Oh, no. Did you have something in
So
there?
I had to run over to pick it up.
Broadcasting station, The Fan.
But we had time to go to the gas station.
680 FM.
Well,
It's
we
college
needed this and
football
this.
Saturday.
Oh!
And guess what I was like back?
College Game
Smoke.
Day, live from Sports and Social at the Battery Atlanta. The 680 college staff is live all afternoon, bringing you up-to-the-minute scores.
You know
and
it's officially
breakdowns of all the
championship
biggest
weekend
action
when the
on
smoke's
biggest
coming.
college football station in the country.
deal.
The Fan.
He's got the White Owls.
680 and 93.7 FM.
Good Saturday morning. It's 10 o'clock. It is time for College Game Day live here on The Fan, 680, 93.7 FM. Home team Brandon Leak, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. We are all here. We are all here together. And we as a city are here as Championship Saturday arrives for folks around the country and for folks who will be in downtown Atlanta, Jack. It will be LSU and the Georgia Bulldogs inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And this is the purpose of college football Saturdays just like this. Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing this fine Saturday morning?
I love how he does that. He's like Reese Davis when College Game Day opens up. You know how he goes through his monologue and it's all written out and everything? Home team's always got one. He's always got one ready.
I feel like the only thing we're missing there was, "This is Sparta," or something like that.
Need somebody to kick
the door down.
Now, when he did it against Austin P, I wasn't as excited.
yeah, I
Hell,
didn't
you
really
know.
get into it the same way.
Championship week, though. Let's go. Let's go.
I see that you've got your Kirby Smart
Oh, I'm
costume
so
on.
ready.
You
This
look
is-
like
this is
Coach
good.
Smart. You
I'm
have
so
the
ready.
Kirby visor and you have the Kirby polo. Now, I would have thought you would have been ready in a Georgia Kirby jersey, but you look like Coach Kirby Smart. How are you feeling, Brian Hoyt? You should feel confident, but you should be excited because this is the whole point of lifting all those weights, going to all of those film sessions, winning all of those games
I didn't lift a weight.
to be in this game like the Georgia Bulldogs are against LSU today.
Ate all that protein.
What are we down to? 6 teams, basically? Like, we got Clemson, LSU,
2,
Ohio
3.
State. You're in.
Yeah,
Then you got Baylor,
4,
Oklahoma.
Georgia,
and you.
Oklahoma.
6.
That's
Six.
it. That's all.
Let's go.
That's it.
Let's go. How many teams are there in football? 128? We're down to 6. Let's go.
And being that it's such a struggle,
I'm going to break this table.
when you start this process in August, when we start ramping everything up, and you get all the way to December, I've said this now for 2 years. Brian Hoyt, unfortunately, has now the curse of having a one-game season, which is the
That's it.
first week in December at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Win and you're in. That is always going to be the case. And when you look at that record, 11-1, and as much as they've been through, and as many times we've come in here and said, man, they were good, man, they look sloppy. Either way, it's 11-1, win and you're in.
And you're in a good spot because you're being hated on. Georgia fans and the University of Georgia, you are now the target of all of the haters in college football. You are being hated on by Oklahoma. You're being hated on by people who don't want you to get that final spot. That means you're doing something right when you have as many haters as the Georgia Bulldogs are going to have today.
You realize I've been hated on for like 6 or 7 weeks. Like, after that loss to South Carolina, I remember I wasn't supposed to beat Florida.
Right.
And then I couldn't
No,
go
they're
through
not
that.
going to win the East, and it was
Couldn't go through
David
that
Pollard.
stretch.
Watch
in
out for
November.
Auburn's defensive
Dan
line.
Orlovsky tried to build a career off of hating on Georgia.
We did that show after the South Carolina game. We came on immediately after that game. But here we are. And I'm not going to do loser talk. I'm not, it's a great season and everything else. That's for Monday if you lose.
That fool ran out of the back of the end zone in an
Here-
NFL game.
Here's where we are right now, though. Here's where we are. Everything is still in front of you. When they said you couldn't go undefeated in November, you're still here. It ain't been the prettiest thing. You're still here.
And you get one of the top 2 teams in the country. Obviously, LSU at number 2, you can make the argument that they should be number 1 based on the resume. Obviously, from what we've seen, Ohio State is very, very you can make the argument that they're more than welcome to have the number 1 spot with what they've been able to do.
It's
especially in
potato,
recent
potato.
weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
one or
both
two.
good football
Yes.
teams. But you get that opportunity against a team that, when you talk about the matchup of who they are versus who you are, Clemson is a tougher matchup for Georgia. Ohio State is a tougher matchup for Georgia. Of these teams, this is the one you want because of what they give you an opportunity to do to them offensively and defensively.
You and I talked about this 3 weeks ago, Los. I hated the matchup against Auburn because it was you doing what you wanted to do against them doing exactly what they wanted to do, and it just matched up that way, and we knew it was going to be that kind of game. I like the matchup against LSU.
Well, I think there are going to be some things that have to happen. I don't think that the Bulldogs need to try to get cute.
Thank you.
I think they're going to have to do some things that they haven't done repeatedly all season. And
Score
we'll get into
touchdowns?
that. That's one. Early, that's one. And there's something else on defense that I think they need to do. But other than that, I don't think they need to get cute. And I think you have everything set up. And when you look at how the dominoes have fallen, where Kirby is coming in, he's taken over. He had an 8-win season. Then he's been to the SEC championship game. Then he's been to the SEC championship game. Then he's been to the SEC championship game. Now you have a defense that can rotate a lot of guys in and out. You're dealing with the best offense in the nation last 8 weeks. And what are you going to do offensively to offset that with the quarterback who never wets the bed?
This is an opposition of wills. And just as you said, Jake Fromm has been through this. This ain't the first rodeo. This is a national championship game, a Rose Bowl, a Sugar Bowl, 2 SEC championship games. That stage and that light has never proven to be too hot for Jake Fromm. On the contrary, with Joe Burrow, he's also had big games over the course of this season. Obviously, that Alabama game was the most watch we've had in college football in 8 years. So, you've been on that big stage, each one of these guys, and it's going to be up to both of them to deliver in the way that their offenses are designed. Burrow, how many times can you throw the football? From how can you manage this game and protect the defense and dominate with your run game?
And a question I have is, will LSU have to change anything? They're not putting up 50 today.
They can't change.
So
the same way Georgia can't change. Georgia is not suddenly going to be able to chase 45 points offensively unless they get some help from their defense. It's the same thing when it comes to LSU. LSU is not a team that is designed defensively to hold you to a 21-14 type of ball game. That's the way that Auburn and Georgia played out that game. That is not the way that LSU is designed this year.
There's something about Kirby, too, when he goes up against these types of offense. He always has something for him, whether it was Tua, whether it was Jalen the year before, whether it was Baker Mayfield. He's always had, whether it was an in-game adjustment or a before the first snap was taken adjustment that he figured out, he's always had something for each of those guys. I don't know what it's going to be against Burrow today. Hell, Burrow may be the toughest out of all of them. I think we agree that he probably projects or is closest to Baker at the time. It took Kirby 30 minutes to figure out what the hell Baker and Lincoln Riley were doing. I'm curious how long it's going to take for Kirby to figure out what Joe Brady and Joe Burrow are doing.
And we'll find out how big of a deal it was. DeAndre Swift coming out of last week's game against Georgia Tech. Is he a little banged up? A lot more than we know. Was it no big deal?
I don't think anybody knows.
Was it a situation where the guy was hurt, he was playing through some stuff, and then he hurt himself worse? Will we not be able to find out until he takes a couple of totes of the pig and he gets hit a couple of times? And will that be okay, or will that be harmful to the Dogs if he has to play a quarter before he figures out he can't go?
2 years ago, you had the Kerryon Johnson situation for Auburn, who was the SEC's leading rusher at the time and was the bell cow for everything that Gus Malzahn and that offense wanted to do. You found out after about 10 minutes that he was not the same Kerryon Johnson with the injury that he had at the time. That's what you're trying to avoid with DeAndre Swift. Now, everything that we have heard from our sources this week has all been about the same thing. This is not a new injury.
Nope.
This is managing something that he's been dealing with over the course of this year. It was re-aggravated during that Georgia Tech game. So that is where you hope that there's a reason why, outside of the Florida game, they're not really looking to give him 25 carries. Hopefully he's healthy enough to be able to carry that kind of load.
Do you trust the two? I've gotten to the point preseason, man. You said Brian Herrion's name. I was like, if we have to hand it off to Herrion, we got a problem. I trust that guy as much as I almost trust Swift right now. Swift is the more dynamic player.
Yeah.
No one's going to disagree with that. But Herrion has carried the load where if I need to give him a few extra carries to just lighten the load on Swift today, I'll do it.
Well, there's a physicality standpoint that you get with Brian Herrion. And that is
you
going
saw it
to
in the
be,
Sugar Bowl last year.
In the Sugar Bowl, I'm sitting there yelling about he's the only guy who's come to assert his will in this football game. That was the only guy on the field offensively doing that. That's the sort of player that he is, and I think that's going to be an important factor when you start talking about LSU and what you want to do to them. you want to wear them down. You want to wear them down so by third or fourth quarter, they're tired of taking that beating from that offensive line and a physical running back. Harrion is that physical back.
First game on the board, championship Saturday, will be Baylor and Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. The door is still open. The door could still be open, and the College Football Playoff Committee could pick one of those teams if something bad happens to Georgia. So there's a lot to play for. They're the first game on the board at noon, and the transformation of Oklahoma's style of play, where they now are going to run it. They're going to run it some more. They're going to use Jalen Hurts to great effect. You saw the big comeback that they had a few weeks ago. You have to wonder how Baylor is going to recover from that, knowing that they did a lot of things right when first they met. They just couldn't finish the deal.
You do remember, you saw it afterwards, what the Oklahoma team watched the week of the Baylor game.
Oh, don't bring it up to him.
Yeah, I've heard
That's
about this.
bad memories.
So they
Don't
watched
do
they
this.
watched the
No.
28-3 Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Yeah.
And the idea was, and the
Oh,
coaching
no.
staff was trying to tell them,
Oh, dear.
if something doesn't go right in the game, just keep playing. Now, of course,
Oh, my.
the game played exactly to 28-3 before they mounted their comeback and won 34-31. This is a Baylor team that already knows we can play with these guys. We can dominate these guys. It's a matter of closing the door on them. Oklahoma for the last several years under Lincoln Riley has always been a sideline-to-sideline power running team, and everything comes off of that. With Jalen Hurts playing the way he is, that's that added element they get where now the quarterback runs just as much as the rest of the offense does.
Yeah, I think it's a situation where these teams know each other well. It's going to come down to defense, which defense is going to be able to come up and get some stops.
Big 12 defense.
Big 12 defense.
There it is.
But
Brian,
Baylor,
you beat me to the punchline.
by Baylor,
Sorry.
by Big 12 standards,
He said
and it's a
defense.
wide open league. Baylor does
do.
play solid defense for them.
Yes.
Matt Rule has built that team to play that style. And far from me it to say, and I put this out on Twitter a week ago, I tuned into the Iron Bowl. I got a Big 12 game. So it's
Yeah.
not like you can point and say, you know what, they don't play any defense there. You didn't play any defense in the Iron Bowl either. It's one of those things that is a big factor in 2019 college football, the lack of defense across the country outside of Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State.
Speaking of Clemson, they're in the Queen City in Charlotte, North Carolina, taking on Virginia in the ACC title game tonight. Clemson feeling disrespected. I understand when coaches have to do things and
Oh,
be the lightning rod. I'm a Dabo football coach fan. I like him as the coach of that team. I didn't like what he was doing after he goes 12-0, and I didn't like the fact that he even put Georgia in his mouth. Well, you know, as soon as Georgia lost to South Carolina, they were trying to figure out how to keep them in. We beat a team, and they're trying to – dude, you're the best college coach smoking today. You've beaten Saban. You're undefeated for the second straight year. Go out, whack these guys, and go and win your first college football playoff game this year, and you'll be right where you wanted to be all season long.
I think 10% of that was for the media. I think the other 90% was for his team because they
I agree.
haven't had to play a football game of any kind of real challenge or consequence since September.
Do we have to
September
stop that,
14th.
Los? He can't. They can't. No team can. I don't know. Fan bases have to argue about that. Oh, you guys haven't played anybody. Look at who we played. He can't help that Florida State and Louisville and Miami are terrible football programs right now.
But his guys still hear it. As much as we want
Correct.
to say they don't hear anything in the locker room, that's a lie. That's a flat out lie. Dabo, what he did, he went right into the Nick Saban playbook. He opened that book up to chapter 19 where it says, talk to your kids through the media, and that's exactly what he did the other day. Although he did admit they didn't play anybody.
If he does have one gripe, one complaint, the 1 seed has such an advantage this year in terms of where you're getting to play. LSU would love to be in Atlanta. Clemson, that's throw a rock, and you're in Atlanta from Clemson. They would love to be the 1 seed there. Going out to Glendale, Arizona,
yeah.
again, your fans will go, but it's just not the same strategic advantage that you would have as the 1 seed here.
When you look at the metrics, they line up defensively. They line up right there with Georgia and Ohio State. When you look
9-8 and 9-7 this year.
When you look at the metrics offensively, they line up right up with the top offensively, and they got Trevor Lawrence back there. So you can call that a wash across the board with the other two teams. LSU's played people. Ohio State's played people. I can't put you in the number 1 spot.
Are they disrespected, though? And I mean, so you're right.
No.
They don't belong at number 1, no question. But they can run the ball. They can stop people from running the ball. They can throw the ball. They can score points. So everything you need to be a champion, by the way, since they are the defending champions, they know what it takes,
and
they can do.
And 2 of the past 3.
Yes.
So it's not like this is some mystery guest where we're going, oh, who are these guys? Who is this coach?
And well coached, too, Los.
The problem ends up being it's that for this year alone, The resume ends up being the issue. They don't have, and again, we all agreed to how this was going to go from all the conference commissioners. The weight that top 25 wins carry are more important than the random loss. Hey, I lost a random game to North Carolina. Had they then had 3 or 4 top 25 wins, not a problem. They're still where they're supposed to be.
Well, they snuck Virginia in, didn't they?
But that's where now suddenly here's the 23rd ranked team in the country. This will be your first top 25 win if you get it.
All right, when we get back to beat LSU, Georgia is going to have to do this without question today. We'll get to it. Home team, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. We're broadcasting live from Sports and Social here in the Battery, Atlanta on the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM.
Keith, are we down?
Yes, we're down.
Thank you.
A19 college football playoff
LSU has scored a
and your
touchdown on their
exclusive
first
home of
opening
the
drive last
Chick-fil-A
fourth
Peach
straight.
Bowl. So stick with the Fan for the latest college football news and the best experts in the nation as we close in on Atlanta's playoff game at the Benz.
Has a seam inside the 40, inside the 30, inside the 20. He is gone.
And of course, the Fan is the only place you'll hear the games and every play of the national championship game. The college football voice of the South. The Fan.
We all know what guys want. Home theater joy. Yes, that's why I turn to Home Theater Works for all of my entertainment and technology needs. The team at Home Theater Works will design and install custom technology solutions for your home entertainment. Whether you're looking for a home theater, whole house music, maybe it's lighting and climate control, or advanced home automation solutions, the folks at Home Theater Works will meet and exceed your expectations. Go see them today in Alpharetta on Holcomb Bridge Road or visit them online at htwatlanta.com.
Hey Atlanta, this is Jay with Engineered Solutions of Georgia. I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. We had a great year thanks to you, our customers.
This is Lewis with Engineered Solutions of Georgia, and I want to take this time to thank all of our employees. So hats off to our staff for being so committed to doing whatever it takes. You are all professionals and a joy to work with every day.
Happy holidays.
Listen, nobody wants unwanted guests in their home, and we're not talking about the ain'ts, the yucks, or the iggles. I'm talking about pests, bugs, critters. Matt Chernoff here to talk to you about those critters and how we can get them out of our basements, our attics, all around our home. Breda Pest Management gets the rats, the mice, the squirrels, and the bats out of your attic for good. Under the Breda Guarantee, it's all covered. All the critter waste cleanup covered. If they chew a new way into your home, under the Breda Warranty, it's covered. Breda Pest Management has been evicting those unwanted guests from your home since 1975. So if you hear something in your attic or in the basement, it's time to visit BredaPest.com. It's spelled B-R-E-D-A. That's BredaPest.com. Or you can give them a call to set up your appointment at 770-466-6700. It's not the ain'ts, it's not the yucks, it's not the eagles, it's the critters, it's the pests, it's the squirrels and the bats. Get them out of your home with the help of Breda Pest Management. They've been servicing Atlanta and Athens since 1975.
No need to be afraid of bugs.
Football season is in full swing.
Home team.
Bookie.ag. Why?
Yes, sir.
Hey, we got the Georgia Credit Union score updates.
Oh, how
I
many?
it says 3 and then 2 sport and social.
What are we hitting for sports and social?
Okay.
It will
We've already
match your
given
initial
away
I'll just,
deposit up to
give the score from last night.
$1,000.
Yeah, you just want to do the order.
There are no games until noon.
and then run down the rest of the
$1,000
lineup.
can and will be yours. How about $100,000? The handicapping contest going on. You win the NFL deal at the end of the handicapping year. $100,000 is yours. The guy down the road, Nicky No-Nos, isn't going to do that for you. They're going to do that for you at mybookie.ag. You go there right now and you enter the promo code radio. They'll match your initial deposit up to $1,000. You play, you win, you get paid at mybookie.ag.
King here, and I have been spreading the good news for over a decade now of how awesome my real estate expert Rhonda Duffy and Duffy Realty is at selling homes. Rhonda sold 3 of my homes and saved me nearly $35,000, and that's take home. That's cash in my pocket. What is that, $50,000 pre-tax income? Thank you, Rhonda. And the way Rhonda has done this year after year is
So
simple.
it's the same number,
Duffy
3
flexibility.
scoreboards
The
and 2
money you
sports and
save
socials.
by being charged.
Yep.
All right.
And then 0.75% when it's sold. It allows more money to stay in the deal and makes for a quicker win-win for you and your buyer, and it gets a deal done. Secondly, Rhonda and her team of Duffy experts by specialty wrote the book on what it takes to sell successfully. And third, well, your part's easy. Since Duffy does it all, you get to sit back, relax, and count all that extra money that you worked for in the first place, because money matters. Call Duffy today and let Rhonda rock for you. DuffyRealtyATL.com.
DuffyRealtyATL.com. 680 The Fan's College Football Saturday, powered by Georgia's Own Credit Union. Become one of Georgia's Own now at georgiasown.org. Keeping you up to speed on all Game Day, live from Sports and Social.
Derek, I found
on the
it.
biggest college football station in the country, The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
What's a man got to do to get a drink at 10:20 in the morning?
It is a bit early.
It is a bit early.
Bit early, but there'll be plenty of time to drink here at Sports and Social, which is where we are. Home team, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt, broadcasting live from Sports and Social here in the Battery, Atlanta, on the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM. Championship Saturday here on College Game Day, and it will be a fun, festive event here inside of Sports and Social today. They're giving away that $2,000 bar tab, that VIP trip down to the tailgate, and it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of buzz around here, probably about 12, 1 o'clock when people start getting their real estate.
This is my third straight SEC championship game that I've done at Sports and Social,
Okay.
because the very first time against Auburn, I fell in love. So then there was last year against Alabama.
What was his
I
name?
walked out of here. His name was Sec. SEC
Sec.
championship game. But plan accordingly. So, like, for me, I'm going to do Safe Ride. Obviously, they're new with the radio station. And so what's going to be cool is that because I got to do the NFL show tomorrow.
Right.
I'm leaving the car over right there in the orange deck. I make the phone call. They come and grab me and my party and my car. I get to wake up tomorrow with everything at my house. 404-888-0887.
Whoa. You're telling me that you get to come here.
Yep.
You call Safe Ride.
Yep.
You and your buddies enjoy the game. You have to be at work tomorrow, and
Yep.
Safe Ride will come here.
Come
take
here.
you, your buddies, and your car back to where you live.
All the way to Cumming, Georgia, baby.
So when you get up in the morning, you can have your car to come to work.
It's that simple.
So in
Or
2007,
download the app as well. Safe
That's
Ride.
America.
So
I'm
in
about to do it
2000
right now.
America.
in
About to do it right now.
2017, when I found you outside the door,
Yeah.
basically lying on the ground, burning a cigarette halfway down,
Oh, you didn't go hobo on us.
No, I was as
Full
hobo as
hobo?
it gets.
Full
I
hobo?
was full hobo.
and I
no.
go, who is this guy laying on the – oh, that's Carlos. And I had to get you home, but your car was still here. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
No, in fact, here's how much of a party it was after that particular game.
Oh, I know.
Oh, you know. So my wife had got pretty upset with me, and she decided to just leave me in the Battery. The next morning, I woke up, and I'm in our bedroom. No big deal. And she's like, yeah, hey, I'll drive you to work. So we left the car. I was like, okay, cool. Drove me to work, came on, did the NFL show. It was like, man, and I start plotting and planning, like, hey, are we going to the Rose Bowl? Let's get tickets. And about an hour later, I was like, how did I get home? I didn't even remember that
those
she
are
had
the
left me in the Battery.
Good times and the bad times.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah.
So let's not go that ugly
You're
today.
welcome. You're welcome
Safe
on
Ride
how
America.
you got home.
It's a good friend. It's a good friend, Hoyt. Coming up in about 5 minutes, talking loudly and repeatedly about something doesn't change facts. We'll explain that coming up. But to beat LSU, Georgia, I think, is going to have to do this without question. They're going to have to steal a couple of possessions.
I hate that.
And what does that mean? Sack fumble. What does that mean? Not just an interception that's 30 yards down the field, an interception where you can run it back 25 yards and get your short field. What does that mean? Maybe on a 4th and 2 or 4th and maybe 3 early in the game instead of punting. That's not Kirby getting tight or trying to be cute. That's him trying to go ahead and make sure he gets him one more possession in a half or in a quarter. I think UGA is going to have to steal a couple of possessions as well as play good defense to get the outcome they're looking for today.
This is why we are Cycle Sisters, because I did the work on this during the week, because I, too, feel that you have to find a way to lower the possessions of LSU. Now, the toughest way is exactly what you're saying. Sack, fumble, interception, something along those lines. But there was also the way that Georgia did it against Florida, which was 2 deep safeties. You're not getting anything down the field, and when we get the football, we're holding it. Florida only had 7 offensive possessions against Georgia in that football game. On the contrary, Auburn, because they forced so many 3-and-outs out of Georgia, they had 14. You have to be somewhere in that middle point against LSU where it can't be 14. They'll kill you at 14.
They'll score half the time.
Can you keep it right around 9 or 10? If you can get to 7, I think you win the football game because you've turned them over and you've held on to the football.
Georgia, we all know how great Georgia's defense is. Georgia's defensive turnover rate, so the turnovers they're forcing basically, 0.07 every 100 drives. They're not turning teams over.
They aren't.
They rank 121st in all of college football in turning teams over.
It's the only thing they don't do well defensively.
Which is fine. I'm not for you got to force these things. You got to force your hand. Make them play your game. As Lowe said, 2 safeties over the top, a cover 2 look, make them go underneath because I can't turn them over. A, Burrow doesn't turn it over. B, I don't force those kind of things. So make them play everything in front of you at this point. We go back to the Pac-12 game last night. Utah's a great defense. Utah runs the ball. In that game, they were going for it on 4th down early on. They were chasing points, and they ended up down 17-0. And now you're in hell because you're playing an up-tempo offense just like LSU, and you're chasing points, and that's the worst place to be against this team.
The thing for me, when you talk about playing LSU, you're going to give up points. That's going to be part of it. Now, Georgia, here are the big things that you can kind of hang your hat on. You're number 2 in the country in terms of first quarter points allowed. You're number 1 in the country in terms of third quarter points allowed. Home team, they allowed over 8 conference games, 6 points in the third quarter. 6.
That's adjustment. That's defensive adjustments by Kirby and Glenn.
So you're going to give up some points. You just don't want it to be crazy points. And when LSU does get their points, God, I hope it's a 14-play drive. 14 plays, 6 minutes off the clock. They scored 7, and now, all right, my service time. That just took away a couple of extra possessions from you despite you getting the score.
In my mind, I'm just trying to work out the number offensively I think Georgia needs to get to.
What is the number? Because
Is
everybody's
it
got a
28
different.
or 30.
Okay.
And I haven't decided yet if it's 28 or 30. I'm thinking LSU is going to score 6 times, 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. There's 30 points right there. So you're going to need more than 30 if they score 6 times in my mind, the way I work my math. The question is, will you be able to do that early in the game, or to your point, will you have to chase points to get to that number? And I just want Georgia not to have to do anything other than what they've done the last 2 years, which is just utilize the strength of their offensive line, the strength of their defensive rotation, and find a way to win by attrition.
If you're chasing points early, this game is over already. It could be over in the first quarter if you're doing that. What Georgia wants to do, and Los has talked about it all week, is muck this game up. Make it ugly, make them play your game. LSU can win playing your game. I don't think Georgia can win playing LSU's game.
No.
So make it your game. Make it a 12-round fight that's just nasty. No first-round knockouts. When you look at the last 3 teams that LSU has played, A&M, Arkansas, Ole Miss, their drives that went for touchdowns averaged 11 yards per play, averaged 16 yards per play, or averaged 15 yards per play. When they played Auburn, their touchdown drives averaged 8 yards per play. Keep that play in front of you. Every single time. Make them go methodically down the field over and over again. That's how, if you want to talk about you got to steal a possession, I'm with Los. You steal a possession by limiting 2 or 3 of their possessions in this game.
George Pickens, how much is it going to hurt? Especially if you have George Pickens, who's going to be out for a half, no Lawrence Cager, and we don't know what's going on with DeAndre Swift. Do you have talent to overcome those things? Yes. What is the impact to the game until George Pickens arrives in the second half is the question I have.
I don't have anyone outside of Pickens that can physically just jump over somebody, just run past somebody. You've got talent. There's more than enough talent. It's just that he gives you a different element that has been very effective in the red zone. There's a reason why he is the leading receiver and leading touchdown playmaker in the SEC for freshman receivers this year. He's been that kind of a guy. Now, what can I do? I need to limit possessions. This needs to be 4 first-half possessions so that by the time he's back out on the field, we still have a game going.
There are 2 things I fear about this George Pickens things. One, when Pickens and Blaylock are on the field together, I feel a lot better about myself. I don't know where you get Blaylock on the field because you need that big guy, whether it's Tyler Simmons, whether it's Kearis Jackson
or Tyler.
You need that big guy on the field. Dom is not that guy right now for them. He's just not, and D-Rob is the short guy in the slot. So I don't know how you kind of move the offense other than running the ball and trying to run it and beat him up with your offensive line in that first half. My fear about Pickens is he going to come out trying to do too much in that second half because he sat out the first half? Because and he's a young guy and he's an emotional guy, as we saw last week. Do you try to do too much in that second half when you finally get in?
In a perfect world, for me, this is a halftime where it's 14-10 either way, and now it's, okay, here comes Pickens back, because he is a factor. When he is on the field, you have to know where he is. It's not the same thing you get. As much as Tyler Simmons has made plays here, obviously made plays against Georgia Tech, he's not the guy that you circle in red pen and go, where is he? Let's make sure we're aligned correctly because they're going to get him the football.
But don't try to make up for the missing 30 minutes by trying to do something extra. That's the one thing about this offense and defense and this Georgia team in general. Nobody goes outside of what they're asked to do. You play in your role. Don't try to do something spectacular over the top just because you had to sit out 30 minutes.
We talked about this even earlier, probably about a month ago, about the way they're playing their defense and the amount of guys. It's 27-30 that are getting out on the field. Ojulari plays the most snaps on the defensive line. He plays 50% of them. There's so many guys that are being
And that went up. It was at 44% for a while.
Now it got to 50. They're basically looking at their guys and saying, you're going to play 20 plays. I need your best 20 plays. You're going to play 30 plays. I need your best 30 plays. That is the way that these guys aren't getting out over their skis and why they're all playing really solid roles, because they're not being asked to do way too much or do it when you're tired.
And what I love about this defense is they execute what Kirby is asking perfectly. Like they don't have the names that people outside of Atlanta or outside of Georgia know. They really don't. We had that on the 2017 team, and if you remember correctly, you lost the national championship because a guy tried to make an extra play. Because on 2nd and 26, Dominic Sanders decided, I'm going to go make a play.
I'm going to make a play because he'd made plays his whole career.
And instead, he dropped out of his zone, and you gave up the touchdown. Guys don't do this anymore. You don't get beat. You don't beat this team because they're so disciplined.
You're listening to College Game Day live from Sports and Social here in the Battery, Atlanta. Home team, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. Give us a call, 404-231-1680. How do you feel? What are your thoughts on this game, Dogs and the Tigers, 4 o'clock inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium? We take a look at the Georgia United Credit Union scoreboard. We saw it last night, and it brought us to the conversation when we came back from break. Talking loudly and repeatedly doesn't change the facts. Utah blown out, embarrassed, 37-15 in the Pac-12 championship game. And we kept being fed, and they earned where they got to that point in the season, how physical they were defensively, and how, while they weren't on national TV, we were going to get introduced to how they can match up with some of these teams that are left. It was phooey. They got behind the chains. They got behind the scoreboard. They were down 20-0, and they were lucky because Oregon missed out on a couple of plays where they could have put the thing away, 24-0 or 27-0 in the first half, and they really got a second life with that. But that being said, I think it was another example of the playoffs already started. Really, the whiners who are 6-7 are where they are for good reason, and if you will ever get a 6 seed in, it will be because they really earned it, and somebody trip some guys up in front of you, but you had a shot too, and Utah now has to go with the Pac-12 and sit down.
I was disappointed with last night's outcome because Utah was the 4th-ranked team in the country in terms of points allowed per game. They're one of the better defenses in college football.
They were.
But what happened in that game, Oregon established dominance on the offensive line and the defensive line. That game for Herbert was not about throwing the football down the field. I took the under in Prize Picks, by the way. Worked out. It was all about their run game and how they punished Utah up front and were able to get the stuff done on them. And then, obviously, when it turned into you got to just throw the football game against Utah, that's not the style they want to play, and Oregon was living in their backfield. It was still about, do you win the lines of scrimmage? And that's where I took that over to the SEC game going, you just win the lines of scrimmage. You're in a such better place no matter what kind of smoke and mirrors, no matter what kind of, hey, we're going to do this and this, it's going to be explosive, whatever. It's still about an offensive and defensive line game, and that's where Utah came up short.
Ultimately, that's what the game comes down to. If the quarterback is not feeling – if he's feeling like he's pressured back there, he's going to have a bad game. If you give him time and he relaxes in the pocket, okay, things are better back here. We all talked about before
it's like Selma.
We all talked – they're better here now.
It's better here now.
We all talked about before the season started, Oregon and Georgia having the 2 top offensive lines in the country. And then they played Auburn, and oh my God, maybe they're not that good. No, Auburn's defensive line was just that
And
good.
they lost at the end of the game by one play.
Oregon's offensive line showed up last night,
Sure
and
did.
they owned it down there with the big boys. That's what Georgia has to do today. You need to show up today and do that. I'm talking to the run game. I'm talking to the pass pro, which they've been good. They've been really good in the pass pro. You got to be good in the run blocking scheme today.
And the shame of it is, with the Pac-12 out, Justin Herbert misses out on a chance to get into the college football playoff. Had they not had that slip up against Auburn, I think he would have been pretty good with that offensive line and the speedsters that they have to make for a good college football playoff game and worthy to compete against anybody who would have been left had they been able to take care of business early.
Your consolation prize in the way that we've constructed this thing, good. You'll get Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl on January 1. That's cool. I'm
good
still
game.
in. Oregon and Wisconsin.
I'm watching.
Assuming Wisconsin doesn't win and beat Ohio State.
Oh, boy.
That's basically what your setup looks like, that you would be looking at a Rose Bowl like that. That's one of those games that I would be into. But, again, the Pac-12 ends up being out of this thing, this time not because of losing some sort of vote with a one-loss champion, but all they are is a bunch of two-loss teams.
I saw Chris Fallica put this out on Twitter either last night or this morning, and he was talking about the fact that Oregon opened the season with Auburn, and they lost that game. That kept them out of the National Football Playoff, or the College Football Playoff. That single game. And it goes back to the idea of, do you want to play these games? And if you do, you better win that game. If you're going to play a Clemson open the season or a Notre Dame or an Alabama or whoever, you got to win that game.
Yeah,
it will come back to bite you
I think you
ultimately.
have to, because if you win that game and then you have a bump in the road, you can say, hey, remember that day that we played Auburn and we beat them at the beginning of the season? That one should count too.
I think that's completely faulty thinking. I guess the Bear didn't watch the game against Arizona State where basically a freshman quarterback aired it out on Oregon to the tune of 300 and something yards, where Oregon just had zero discipline in the secondary. Every single time Oregon would score to get back in that ball game, it would be another 80-yard touchdown pass. Score to get back in the ballgame. Another 75-yard touchdown pass. The reason why Oregon is not in this conversation wasn't because of a last-second loss to Auburn. And, yeah, that's exactly the kind of game you play in order to establish yourself. It was because you gave up crazy yards to a freshman quarterback late night in Tempe, Arizona.
But this system is built for that. This system is built for you to have one slip-up during the season. Don't have two, because we've never put one in with two losses at that point, a non-conference champion with two
Nor
losses.
should we. I don't think anybody who's even if you're a champion with two losses, yeah, I think that we need to tighten this thing up a little bit.
Same thing with Georgia, though. You can say the Arizona State game, but Georgia had the opportunity with the South Carolina game where you played a backup and a second-string backup, basically, and you still lost that game. Yes, you turned it over 4 times, but it's built for you can have one slip-up, don't have two, and that's the overall question of, do you want to play these big games? They help you sure as hell, but they'll also hurt you in the end.
Freshman Jaden Daniels for Arizona State, 22 of 32 for 408 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Well, that's silly.
That is what's keeping them out of this
silly.
thing.
Committee's going to look at that first.
It's not because of, hey, you played a crazy ball game. Here, let me just give you a little look at that. What does that play say? What is that drive in the biggest moment? 3 plays?
79 yards, touchdown.
Touchdown. All you had to do was play defense, and Oregon that night did not play good enough defense to hold back a freshman quarterback.
What if this guy wins it all? What if Dabo wins it all? What if he wins it all? Hadn't played anybody. ACC is down. He shouldn't be in there. He doesn't have to go through what all the other programs have to go through. That being said, he's going to be in the playoff. What if he wins it all? What does he become?
Well, I mean, it's easy to win it all when you don't play your first real game till like the middle of December.
But you still have to win 2. So let's just say he has to play 2 games all year, and he wins those 2 games. And let's just say he wins them both impressively. What do we do with this guy? What do we do at Clemson? What do we do with this program? And what do we do with the narrative for next year when the ACC will be bad again?
I don't know how the hell to actually take Dabo just in the realm of college football coaches, because he's shown he's won. He's been at the top of the mountain. He's been there multiple times.
Yes.
He's knocked off Bama, one of the few to do it, and he's done it 2 out of the last 3 times he's played Nick Saban. But what does Dabo do? And I'm asking you that. He's a hell of a recruiter. He's a hell of a motivator. He can get those guys fired up and everything else. He surrounds himself with the greatest offensive and defensive coordinators, which is why they pay them so much. But what does Dabo do? And I'm asking you. You can say the same thing about Coach O at this point right now too.
I'll flat out tell you, and this was a hallmark of Bob Stoops, what he used to do at Oklahoma. His work environment was so good for his assistant coaches that there was a reason why they didn't jump anywhere. They were well paid, compensated, obviously to the point that they needed to, but time with your family. We're going to grind, but we're going to also cut out some time. There's a reason why Nick Saban burns through guys outside of Kirby Smart, because that level of a grind, you come in, you get your Nick Saban badge, and you move on. Credit to Dabo for creating an atmosphere where not only do the players love it, and I've said this for years, there is Nick Saban way. Here's the way we're going to do things over at Alabama. Dabo created his own way that a lot of other coaches have tried to follow, where it's cool. Playing at Clemson is cool. Being a Tiger is cool. Being part of what's going on here is cool. Those are two totally different things. Dabo has perfected you come here because it's cool and we're going to win and play big games.
And he's hired the right guys. That's what you want your head coach to do everywhere. And I call it the Tuberville effect when Tommy Tuberville was coaching in the SEC. He didn't do a whole lot during the week. I remember going to a practice at Auburn. I was like, that's the coach? He's at the 20-yard line on a golf cart while everybody else is running practice. What are you doing? Well, he's doing what he's always done. He's hired great coaches. They all are on the same page. They attack the film room, and they attack the game plan with one single focus. And when you have the right guys in the building, you have yourself a program. And so I don't have a problem with Dabo.
I don't either, and I didn't mean it to come off offensive. I was just asking, what does the guy – what does he – like I said, he's a hell of a motivator, a hell of a recruiter, and he builds a great culture. And maybe that's what a college football coach should do. Maybe he should be the head, because we're losing guys left and right. Urban Meyer going out at 50. Now you got Chris Peterson going out at 50.
He does the one thing that settles everybody down. Questions from the president, from the fan base, from the team, from the coaches. He makes everybody comfortable. His staff, you are comfortable with his staff. There are no questions about people on his staff. Even James Coley, who I think has done a great job, people are still questioning whether or not he is doing enough with the Georgia offense, even though he's got him back in an SEC championship game.
We don't have to look that far down the road. We can just look to downtown Atlanta. Think about how much Coach O has changed from just his days at Ole Miss to how much he changed when he went to Southern Cal, and how people at Southern Cal were, hey, he doesn't fit our culture, but the team loves him. The staff loves this guy. Falls into it on an interim basis at LSU, and you find out pretty quickly, couldn't hire Jimbo, couldn't get it done with a couple other guys. All right, let's give it to Coach O. And Coach O has cultivated an atmosphere where he has those top assistants. He has run this program where, you know what, I'm going to answer to the media. I'm going to pat my guys on the back when they need it. I'm going to chew them when I need to, and I'm going to run this thing as a CEO. The guys that really do this well, that's the way they have control over everything within the program.
Well, ultimately, when you look at just a company in general, and we'll call college football teams a company, do you want the CEO that doesn't trust his guys and has to have his hands in every single thing, or you want to hire the best and let them do their job and stay out of their way?
Well, it makes me look like it's confusion, even if I don't know what's going on in the field. If I see a coach screaming and hollering and hits it looks like they're confused down there.
You're going to have to take the blame if things go wrong. But so far they haven't for either one of those coaches.
No, I think it's
but there is such a thing as, like, Ryan Day. Ryan Day is by far the best offensive play caller at Ohio State, so he calls the plays. There might not be a better defensive play caller and defensive adjuster in the SEC than Kirby Smart. Right. Kirby Smart calls the plays. It doesn't mean that you have to be completely hands-off in everything, but if you recognize, hey, I'm Coach O, and Brady's better at calling offense than I am, I'm going to sit back over here and let him do his thing that he's very talented at. I think a lot of it comes down to what coaches feel they can delegate and what they feel that they're the best to do.
Well, and kudos to Ensminger, too, because it's one thing to have someone who's your same age and everything else come in and tell you what to do, to have a 30-year-old kid, younger than all of us, come in there and you're open-minded to let them help you run this offense and get it where it needs to go. Kudos to both of them for doing that, man.
All right, when we get back, when was the last time you were a champion?
Jazzercise.
The last time you were a champion in anything.
Was that on the air, or did I hear that in my head?
I heard it in my head.
I thought somebody was thinking aloud.
I hope it was in the air.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Because I, too, would like to be a Jazzercise champion.
We'll get to that next here on College Game Day, live from Sports and Social in the Battery Atlanta home team. Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt here on the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM.
I still need a drink.
Welcome to Atlanta, Cole Hamels.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Hamels strikes out the side.
Oh, Derek's going to tell me.
The Braves continue to load up for the 2020 season, and there's only one Atlanta station live from the winter meetings in San Diego.
Yes.
Every spring training game, and you're only home for Atlanta Braves baseball. The Fan.
Matt Stinchcomb here again for ASW Distillery. You know what a lot of folks associate with college football season? Bourbon. Especially bourbon from Georgia's hometown whiskey distillery, ASW. I've known ASW Distillery founders Charlie and Jim since our days at UGA, and I routinely give their Fiddler bourbon as gifts on my travels throughout the season. Head over to either of ASW's Atlanta locations in Buckhead or in the West End for a tour and tasting of their whiskey and cocktails, or pick up Fiddler for tailgates at your local bottle shop. ASW Distillery. Delicious whiskey distilled by dogs.
Football season has arrived, and Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse is ready to help you celebrate. A memorable evening awaits you, featuring USDA prime steaks, fresh seafood, chef-made side dishes, and an award-winning wine list. So whether it's a birthday, anniversary, or even just the latest football victory, Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse in Dunwoody is the place for all your celebrations. Visit delfriscos.com to view menus or to make a reservation.
Pecans. They're a part of every holiday dinner in the South. There's nothing like the sweet, buttery crunch you'll find at Stone Mountain Pecan. They're great treats by themselves and perfect for holiday baking. Don't have time to bake? Try our Just Nuts 10 for a tasty variety of chocolate nuts for your guests. You'll also find tons of other nuts and candies at Stone Mountain, like our praline pecans. Plus, we're a great one-stop shop for all your gift giving, and we ship anywhere. Go nuts this year and place your order at stonemountainpecan.com or visit us on Highway 78 in Monroe. And don't forget, eat well, be happy.
This is Sarah Beth Brown from Brown & Company Jewelers, here with Brown & Company Ambassador Tom Glavin. We're talking men's style.
The rules have changed. The modern man is looking for more options that reflect his personality and lifestyle. Merging art with innovation, David Yurman transforms rare jewels, precious metals, and unique materials into signature bands with engineered precision and modern alchemy.
Whether you're searching for a timeless wedding band or an everyday ring to express your individuality, you'll find the perfect David Yurman design at Brown & Company Jewelers on Holcomb Ridge Road in Roswell. See you soon.
Introducing a new TRICARE Prime option for eligible TRICARE beneficiaries here in the metro Atlanta area, Kaiser Permanente. Experience healthcare simplified with 800 plus providers at 25 local medical facilities. Great care is more convenient for you and your family. See your doctor, get labs, and visit the pharmacy, all under one roof. Hear from Steve Giller, U.S. Army veteran and Kaiser Permanente employee, on the level of care Kaiser Permanente members can look forward to.
When a TRICARE beneficiary walks into a Kaiser Permanente facility, it's going to feel very much like home to them. All of our services are under one roof. We're really going to be there to hold their hand, to shepherd them, to guide them, and really provide them with a level of service that they have not seen before in Atlanta.
You and your family's health is our cause. We are ready to serve you. TRICARE open season is November 11th through December 9th. Call 800-822-3073 or visit kp.org/TRICARE to learn more.
Stats Brew Pub is the ultimate location to watch your favorite sporting event, host your next private party, or enjoy a great meal with friends. We offer tried and true American favorites that are sure bets to please every palate. We've even added a brewery that now serves 6 of our own home brewed beers. Stats Brew Pub features 5 bars and almost 16,000 square feet of restaurant and private event space with 70 HD TVs to keep your viewing options endless. So stop in and visit us today. Stats Brew Pub, 300 Marietta Street in the heart of the Lucky Marietta District.
The holiday season continues at betonline.net, and we want to celebrate with you this weekend as some of the best college and pro football matchups of the year are on tap. Follow all the action at betonline.net as conference championship weekend is upon us with the top 5 ranked teams in action. Week 14 in the pros features divisional leader San Francisco heading to the Big Easy and KC visiting New England. Before the next kickoff, head over to betonline.net for the latest news, scores, and lines. Bring the game home with betonline.net.
This is college football
Stand by.
Fan, powered by Georgia's own credit union. The Fan's College Game Day, live from Sports and Social. We've got college scores and stats all afternoon on the college football voice of the South. The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Welcome back in. College Game Day, live from Sports and Social here in the Battery, Atlanta. Home team, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. We are here until 11:30. Georgia Tech basketball has arrived. Georgia Tech, Syracuse, here on the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM. And you'll hear that game right here following us here on College Game Day.
Poor Cassie. She works here, Sports and Social. She
Right.
runs all the events, and when you have something big going on, she's going to be here all day managing this entire thing. Hoyt walks over to her and just goes, "Can I get a beer?"
Oh, my God.
She was just like,
Why did he do
"Yeah,
that?
let's see what we can do." So look,
She'll
there-
pour him one.
There he is. Oh no, she found someone to go ahead and get it
Yeah,
taken
she'll
care
take
of.
care of him.
But Hoyt went looking around this entire place trying to find anyone who would even think about maybe giving him an adult beverage.
Yeah, they'll take care of him. They take care of everybody here at Sports and Social. You need to make sure you stop by Sports and Social all year long. Big games, anything that's going on in the world of sports, you can get in front of one of these great seats and a huge TV, biggest TV in the South right here at Sports and Social. When's the last time you were a champion? Bulldogs win today. They're going to be champions of the SEC.
I was just a champion. I got a beer before 10:50.
You just came back with a championship run to a beer as you were begging for a beer when you got here. Now you got yourself one. We just had our 4th annual Business Bowl, and we had a lucky business. I want to say thanks to all of the fine folks that were a part of that. Walkout champions. When's the last time you've been a champion?
Okay, so this was the Atlanta Men's Baseball League.
Oh, the AAMBL?
Right. The 2006 season, the Cherokee Dragons won it with a record of 26-2, and
Okay.
we were champions. So that's the one time personally when I can say I had a hand in being. That was or I would say the last time I could say I had a hand in doing something and being a champion.
It's been a couple of years now. I was part of a championship team 2 years ago at the 2nd annual Atlanta 680TheFan Business Bowl, and we were able to win at Stars and Strikes. Phenomenal rally at the end, and taking home that trophy and the big bottle of bourbon that we got that went along with that. It means much. It still sits right there. I see it every day when I go to my office at home. It's something I'll cherish forever.
But I can also say this too. There have been some situations where we've come up short in the Buck and Kincaid.
Okay.
Then there was one time where we did not. We went home with cups, did we not, Hoyt?
All right.
Yeah, we might have cheated.
We didn't cheat. It's Gorman, Jason Gorman, who cheats so hard. We did not.
No.
Now
you got to keep him from winning, though. You got to
keep him from winning. You got to outshoot him, and we outshot them.
Okay.
And he cheats really hard.
That's a strong statement.
So
levying against the man.
Listen, that cup hangs forever.
It does.
It's in my office.
It
just sits there, and it just lets me know, hey, you won me, and it's forever.
I'm just trying to think. I'm like Atlanta, basically. I am the runner-up. I've had so many runner-ups in my life.
Yeah, it's kind of what we have seen a lot over the years, decades, teams, managers.
It's fitting, though. I wouldn't know what to do if I actually won.
He's won the Fan Cup,
but
it's only against me.
That's all right. It's a championship.
So it's not like he took on like.
Yeah, you're either the winner or the runner-up.
That's all right.
I was
if you're not first, you're last.
I was, it's not like Rust Fest. I took on famine, racism,
hunger.
It's like no. It was just me and a bunch of other drunks, and you and your bunch of other drunks just happened to win.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because it doesn't feel like it right now. I don't think that overall people feel like this Georgia team has the magic that we felt when they went to the college football playoff championship game a few years ago. But the truth is, they are 3 games away from being champions. And while it might not feel as special, they have the setup offensively with the offensive line, defensively with everything that they have to be balanced enough to win 3 games and win it all.
Here's what I feel worst about this team in particular. They have been dumped on by the national media. They've been crapped on by SEC fans. They've been crapped on by their own fans. Like, this team truly is not getting – we can talk about respect and number 4 and everything else. How many Georgia fans are happy right now with the way things are?
Right.
You're a 11-1 team.
Is there a difference between 1, 2, 3, or 4 when you get to the college football playoff? No.
Not when you've been there before.
You get to wear your home jersey? That's about it.
There's no difference. So you are one of the best teams in the nation, and you're right. It seems like people just aren't satisfied, and they should be. This is a really fun team, well-coached team, and they aren't shooting themselves in the foot.
But this is the nature. What is it? The pressure.
Yeah.
That Kirby brings about.
Pressure is a privilege.
It's a privilege. It's an opportunity. 2017 was a magic carpet ride that we all went on. And Hoyt and I will joke around. Probably it'll be our favorite Georgia season. Yeah, we went to South Bend.
Yep.
Then we flew out to California, and we went to that Rose Bowl.
Not only a favorite season, my favorite team of all time.
Right.
And they didn't win the championship.
Because that was a 7-win team the year before that went on this run where we legitimately were talking about, if they beat Notre Dame, they're going to be 7-0 going to Jacksonville, and suddenly your world starts changing from that standpoint. Fast forward to after an SEC, last-minute SEC championship game loss last year. Now this team is the one that you point to and go, you've got a bunch of Kirby recruiting classes. You're supposed to do this, and this, and that is a tough amount of pressure to handle.
I get upset, or I shouldn't even say upset. I get annoyed by the idea that you don't win this, it's a failure. It's such a crappy way to look at it, but those are the expectations we may be sitting at. Look, we wanted this. When Richt was fired, this is what Georgia wanted. You wanted to play in this game, and you wanted to say if you lose this game, it's a failure of a season. We asked for those expectations. It's here. So I'm not going to double down and say it's not a crappy season. It's been a great season. Other than that loss to South Carolina, I've loved watching this team. But this is where we are now. You play in Atlanta in December, in the first week of December. You got to win this game to at least put yourself where you wanted to be.
I'm touching home team's shoulder in kind of like a way like I'm going to pass on some bit of knowledge. I really want you
I'm ready to receive it.
Take this on.
Is it how to make a girl?
I'm good at
you
that
should
one.
be
I'm
a
really good
master
there. Listen,
of ceremonies.
I'm like kung fu black belt of making daughters.
You may get pregnant right now just by
I was
going to
say, me touching you.
Spit out a little girl before the show is over.
You're like, whoa, 18 years, huh? No, here's what I'm going to tell you. They have the possibility of going to back-to-back sugar bowls and being disappointed.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where
It's
they're
really
at.
important.
But you
That's
know what?
where they're at.
It's just not Georgia. It's where the upper echelon programs are when you miss out at the end. Alabama is the same way.
Yeah.
If Clemson were to lose, they would be the same way. It still wouldn't be a great season. It would be all for naught, and some folks would show up for the bowl game, but the fan base would just kind of be,
It's a one-game season. And a year ago, actually, it would be 364 days ago, I told Brian Hoyt, hey, man, it sucks, but this is what you're doing. You're playing one-game seasons. The Monday after they lost to Alabama, I was like, you play one-game seasons now. And it's all about what happens in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium now.
I could be a program like Iowa who gets excited and gets to go to the Rose Bowl once every 12 years. And this isn't a shot, but Georgia Tech when they got to go to the Orange Bowl and beat Miss State. That's not where I want to be anymore. I want to be someone who's more excited to go to the New Year's Eve Bowls.
This is what you signed up for.
Yep.
This is what the goal was in hiring Kirby Smart and all the all-in stuff that they have done to the facilities and to recruiting and the emphasis on the staff. This is what it's supposed to be. Now, if you finish it today, cool. Now you get two more that matter, possibly. If you don't, well then, you know what? You reload it and you're right back at this exact same spot next year where it's a one-game season.
I'm not letting Kevin McAllister beat me today. Little Kevin. He's not going to.
Don't do that now. Don't.
Why does Joe Burrow have a red nose, by the way?
That I don't know. Is it cold? It's not that cold in the bayou.
I don't know, but it's always red. Like my grandpa had that, but that was alcoholism.
He was alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't think Joe is drinking. Maybe
Not
he's just
during
happy.
the game.
Maybe he's just rosy, giddy with glee. All the records he's.
Are you telling me like we're both going to be red-nosed in probably about 2-3 hours?
Yeah, you get that bulbous red nose.
You get that bulbous red nose where everyone knows. You can't really hide it. Just everyone knows that, yes, I'm a little intoxicated.
It's like a scarlet A on my chest, but instead it's a big red D on my nose for drunk.
All right, when we get back, this is new territory for Kirby Smart. Will he be any different today because of it? We'll get to that. Home team, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. We're live here in Sports and Social in the Battery Atlanta. College Game Day on the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM.
680 The Fan's College Football Saturday, powered by Georgia's Own Credit Union. Become one of Georgia's Own now at georgiasown.org.
The wine lover in your life has just found their new favorite experience, The Gifted Ferret in Woodstock, specializing in artesian wine experiences, gifts, and gourmet items that you just won't find anywhere else. From their very own Cafe Fioretto, a premium roasted wine coffee made here in Georgia, to decadently rich handmade gourmet truffles. They also have a wide range of wine classes, specialty tasting nights, paint and sip events, private parties, and even an in-home wine tasting service, The Traveling Cork, for your next party. Find out more online at thegiftedferret.com.
CA Salve is a general contractor deeply committed to exceeding client expectations in every detail of our work in commercial construction. We offer uncompromised quality, meticulous craftsmanship, and tedious cost control without sacrificing an on-time completion. Located in the Battery, Atlanta, CA Salve built the state-of-the-art studios for 680 The Fan. We're one of Atlanta's most trusted interior commercial contractors. Get your construction project started today at ca-south.com. CA Salve, building quality, building confidence.
Atlanta business owners, you know the impact coaches can have on the success of their teams. I'm a premier business coach who has helped his Atlanta clients
All right,
become
home team.
massively more
You
successful
and I- you
by
and I are in the
doubling
car.
their revenue in 12 months, by building superior teams,
And we're listening
by creating
to, I was gonna
operational
say, a
efficiency,
CD.
and so much
Does
more.
your car have
My
a
name
CD
is
player?
Jeff Lovejoy, and I'm a certified business
yes.
coach
Okay.
who for
It
12
does.
I don't even
years
think
has
mine has a
specialized
CD
in
player.
helping
It
business
does. But we're
owners
listening
take
to
their
Sirius
business to the
Satellite.
next level. Call me, Jeff Lovejoy, at
Kanye comes on.
404-444-1836
What do I do with the N-word?
for a free
You should never say the
90-minute
N-word.
consultation.
Even in the rap, like if I'm just going word for word with Kanye.
You should never ask Siri how many words are in the English language. She will tell you about 700,000. Of the 700,000, that's the one you should not use.
All right, let me ask you a question. If you were singing to a song on the radio in your car, or with your friends or whatever.
Wait. So what you're telling me is he has access to $699.99?
Yes,
basically.
That's what I'm telling you.
Let's say Journey came on.
Okay.
Up to $2,000 back in
Would you
American
ever
Express
not
gift
say
cards,
believin'?
And you can
Well,
enter
believing and what
I
Kanye
know,
is saying
I
are
know,
just
I know.
a
They're
little
a
bit
little
different.
different. There's a little different
But
connotation.
I'll also tell you
But
another-
I'm not saying it in that
But
way
I'll
at
tell you
all. I'm
something
just
about
singing
me.
word
I will
for
tell you
word
something
with
about
it.
me so that I'm not a hypocrite.
It's weird how he equates things.
I would not play Kanye West if we were in the car. I would not play songs with the N-word with you in the car.
I roll the windows way down.
I would not.
He yells it out the window. It's
Oh,
really
boy.
weird.
I'm on 400.
It's Solomon Brothers.
400.
On Instagram.
Oh, by the way,
MLK. No, I have to finish this though.
They're
So
a
what am
part
I
of
supposed to
every
do? Do I
holiday
just?
dinner in the South.
Well, you're a grown man. I can't tell you.
No, but I'm asking for help.
I don't tell grown people
When
what to do.
that word comes up,
They're
do I
great
just
treats by
stop
themselves
rapping
and
and then
perfect
go right
for
back to
holiday
rapping?
baking.
That's
Don't
what
have
I've
time
seen
to bake?
people
Try
do.
our
Yeah, and that's
Just
more
Nuts tan
awkward
for
than
a
actually
tasty
doing
variety
it.
of chocolate nuts for your guests.
And it's
You'll
always
also find tons
our
of other
radio
nuts and
version,
candies
so
with
sometimes
Yeah,
the
do a
words
radio
are
version.
praline and pecans.
It doesn't air on the
Plus, we're a
radio.
great
I would say
one-stop
you should
shop for
never
all your gift giving,
say that
and we
word.
ship
That's
anywhere.
what I would say.
Go nuts
You're a grown
this year
man.
and place your order
I don't
at
tell grown
I'm listening to No Vaseline. Just leave that one out.
It's going to be hard for certain artists.
Drop
certain
all
groups.
the F-bombs I want, but leave that one
That's a
out.
group you can't even say today.
Dealer of the Year, Entry Point Doors
So,
and Windows.
to me,
Entry Point has
it
been one
comes
of
down, 'cause
Atlanta's
some people are a
best
little
for
bit more
20
liberal,
years
so, like,
because Entry Point
I know
focuses their
people.
time,
I asked
energy,
Stu and
and
play
BJ
their
on
music.
just
What did they
doors,
say?
When we were in the
windows,
car
and
with
custom
them.
glass.
What does Stu say?
Entry Point
And they
can
were
work
like,
with any
"Man, I
budget
don't care,
and
just
provides
roll with
the
it."
best
And I was like,
price
okay.
the
I would also
best
tell you
time.
younger
And finally,
people have a
the
different
installation,
perspective
where Entry
than I
Point
have.
Doors and
Okay.
Windows
And I have
strives
seen
to be
where
stress-free
younger
and
people
efficient.
play it,
They're
and it's
Atlanta's
no big
best
whoop.
for a
And I've
reason.
been a guy
They're
looking around
Entry
like,
Point Doors
wow.
and Windows. Visit them
Okay.
online at
Is that what we're doing here?
entrypointatlanta.com.
You know, one of my favorite conversations we've ever had. Do you remember when we had all the guys over and we're all
Poker
drinking?
night?
Yeah, we're all playing poker. We're all drinking down there, and Stu starts getting into his usage of the N-word. And the funny part was, is as we're all having this discussion, we're all joking around about stuff. I was like, yeah, so just out of just respect and everything, you don't use it. He goes, no, I use it all the time. Oh, I mean, the whole room just died laughing. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't do this, or you would never use. No, man, I use it all the time.
WC
Stand by.
A Dickey Broadcasting Station.
at Atlanta's one and only home for the college football playoff and the 2019
How would I take it
National
if Joe called me
Championship game.
his N-word?
The Fan.
He wouldn't do that. He doesn't
College
use it.
updates
At
all
all?
afternoon. The Fan's College Game Day, live from
You guys
Sports
just
and
throwing it around
Social
on
at the
Sports
Battery
X over there.
Atlanta.
Just,
On
I
the
know,
Fan's
that's all it is.
I'm the potty mouth.
The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
Sports X, just all these bombs everywhere.
I mean, that Hudson
curse
Mason.
words and all sorts of stuff.
Let me tell you something. In a break, Hudson will get loose.
In
Oh
a
my
break.
God.
In a break.
In a break, on the air.
He said PC.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, then, okay, as he's
Play-
using the D word, okay?
Yes.
The one, the derogatory term that we use for penis, because, see, that you can use.
That's a medical
'cause
term.
That's a medical
That's
term.
right.
He's using a slang
no.
term and going like, no, I mean, that's what it's called.
No.
I'm like, no,
No.
you can't use slang.
Dump that. We'll dump that. Dump that.
You
We
ain't
won't
got long enough.
dump the rest of this show. We'll clean it up. This is College Game Day, live from Sports and Social here in the Battery, Atlanta. Home team, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. We are here until 11:30, and Georgia Tech will be on the hardwood to take on Syracuse. This is a different type of Saturday.
So hard.
It's Championship Saturday, and as we take a look around the college world, a lot of fan bases are very excited and should be. And as we look at the Georgia United Credit Union scoreboard, one game in the books last night, Pac-12 Conference Championship game, saw Oregon beat Utah 37-15. 15. First game on the board today will be Baylor and Oklahoma at noon. We'll have the 4 o'clock game, Georgia and LSU. Then later tonight, the ACC championship. It will be Clemson and it will be Virginia at 8 o'clock. The last biggie on the board, it will be Ohio State and Wisconsin.
I've tried to explain this because my dad's in town, and whenever he's in town, he tags along with everything else. We're like, come and do this. Tried to explain to him last night because he wanted to go to the tailgate with us at like 11.
Okay.
It's like, Pops.
Wait, is he coming down?
Well, no, not for the tailgate.
Damn it.
He'll be here later.
All right.
But I was like, Pops, you do realize. I was like, it's a 4 o'clock kick. He's like, yeah. And I go, it's an SEC game. He's like, yeah. I go, how long do you think that goes? He goes, well, like 3 hours. I'm like, no. It's like a 4-hour football game. So I'm trying to not get my burn going too quick. I was excited to start the show. Now I'm trying to calm it down for a bit because we're still 5 hours to kickoff, and then I got to survive 4 more hours of that.
All I just heard was you say, we're only 5 hours till kickoff. That's all I'm hearing. I'm like the other side. Oh, my God, we're only 5 hours.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
If you're Oklahoma and Baylor, those fan bases, you can start getting wild right now.
Yes.
And you'll be good through the remainder of the day. You can get a nap. You can hit Waffle House by 5 o'clock. You're good. Everything's good there. Georgia fans, LSU fans have to play it a little differently today.
This is new territory for Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs under Kirby's reign. It's different because this is the first time he will be across the field from a coach other than Saban in this game.
Well, you had Gus and 17.
He had Gus Miles on, but I'm talking about since he's gotten things up and
Oh,
running
yeah.
in championship mode. This is the first time Saban won't be across the field to stop Kirby from getting to where he wants to go.
This one, the one I pointed out on my left, the
Who's
one
that?
named Hoyt,
What?
he's disappointed in that.
Will that make any difference, and will he be more relaxed? Because I think Kirby has gotten a little tight, and I think he's panicked a couple of times, with a couple of moments, the last couple of times, because it was Saban on the other side of the field.
I think that's fair.
When you say panic, explain the panic part to me. Like, we all know the fake punt. That's
the
fine.
fake punt.
And he's got conservative.
Yes, there's been moments that you go that has been out of character for that particular team that particular year.
And it felt like it.
It did, especially the last 2 times you played. Yes, the national championship and last year. You got conservative when you had that lead, and you had double-digit leads in both. But if we've seen anything from this year, maybe that's just the way he plays.
Right, and maybe that's a part of his growth, him being a head coach for the first time, getting his stuff together. You have to make mistakes, too, and you have to learn from yourself, too.
So no fakes today.
Well, and I don't have a problem with a fake, believe it or not. Like I said, I think you're going to have to steal some possessions, at least 2. And if it's a 4th and 2, does it have to be a fake? Do you have to go for it? I don't think you have to look at him as a riverboat gambler if he decides to go for it on 4th and 2 from the 46-yard line because he thinks he can score and he wants to keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's hand.
I want situational aggression. If you go down on your first drive in a scoreless football game and you're lining up for 51-yard kick on a 4th and 2, I don't have a problem with that because I want points, and I believe that kicker is going to come through with that. You've got one of, if not the best kickers in the country. Go get your points. But if we're talking it's a situation where, hey, it's a 4th and 1 and I'm on my 40-yard line, just punt the ball away. Go play defense. Like, be smart about when you decide to be aggressive in this thing.
Well, it's the same thing when, look at Kirby. Obviously, he's a defensive guy. Look at Kirby. He doesn't dial up a lot of blitzes. He really doesn't. He plays everything safe, conservative in front of him, and I think we've learned.
I did all of my work for the 9-10 months leading up to this thing, recruiting and building these guys up to where I don't have to play games.
Correct. He talks about blocking and tackling, beat your man. You're better than your man. I coach you to be better than your man. Beat your man. But when he does dial them up, they tend to be, for the most part, at least when blitzes. I'm not talking about fake field goals like last time we played LSU or fake punts against Alabama. I'm talking when he dials up his blitzes. He does it calculated, and he gets there normally. He doesn't do it often, and so that's the kind of thing you want to see maybe move over to the offensive side. Don't do it every single time, but when you do, pick your spots, get that right moment, and you got to capitalize on it.
Can I be super nerdy here?
Nerd it up.
Super nerd.
Nothing wrong with that.
Spent a lot of time watching film this week, watching the LSU offense and going through a lot of that stuff. Because
when you say film, reel to reel?
Yes. I've got it on a hand crank.
Projector.
And so I'm just having to roll it through.
Splicing stuff together.
Yeah, I'm like that the old movie theater people where I just have to keep turning and turning and turning. It's like a talkie movie.
All right, back that up.
Watched a ton of LSU this week, and there's stuff that you miss when you're just watching a football game.
Oh, yeah.
You don't pick it up the same way. One of the things that I believe that's going to be so important is for whoever is playing left defensive end for Georgia. We've seen this where it's been a variety of different players that have essentially done this. Gotten up the field, slammed on the brakes on their pass rush, and made sure to set a hard edge to the right side of the quarterback. Why is that so important this weekend? Joe Burrow rolls right. When he escapes pressure, it's always to the right. When he throws the football, it's always to the right. You start talking about the discipline of the Georgia defense and how they're coached. It's to take away things like that are been showing up on film, and this is the way they do it. And the guy who's less disciplined goes up the field and goes after the quarterback. Georgia has played a discipline this year where it's, nope, here's the hard edge, and if you want to throw the football, you got to sit in that pocket, and the pressure's going to get to you.
So let's go back to last year's SEC championship game. You knocked Tua out of that game. Jalen Hurts comes in. And you had a game plan for Jalen the year before in the national championship, which you worked perfectly to a T. Jalen comes in last year, and you lost contain over and over and over again in that fourth quarter. And that was Adam Anderson, and that was Brenton Cox, who's no longer on this team. When you lose contain, when you want to be selfish, we talk about this selfish thing all the time. When you want to be selfish and be bigger than the other 10 guys on that field, that's when you make mistakes. You set your edge, and you keep him in that pocket, and you keep the pressure coming up the middle. You want to make a play downfield, or you want to get past your tackle on the outside and go past him, he comes right outside of it. He keeps his eyes downfield, or he runs for it to pick up the first down.
Do Ohio State's hopes and dreams rest on a knee brace? We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But, Los, you had some numbers talking about the UGA defense, and you're always going to have criticism of anybody. Best team in the nation, who are they playing, who are they not playing, what's the level of competition, yada, yada, yada. Are there numbers that are just bedrock solid? Or is this a situation there is some sleight of hand with what's been going on? Because there's no question Georgia's defense is elite and dominant, but is there anything we might be overlooking that LSU might be able to exploit?
I've been saying this, that if you are a non-Georgia fan, you can buy into the idea that, well, look who Georgia's played. It's smoke and mirrors. They haven't been able to do this. And you know what? You're right. You're totally right. That's the way that is. Or you're a Georgia fan, and you believe what the numbers are telling you. And here's what it comes right down to. Georgia this year, gave you the stat a little bit earlier on in the show, they're the number 2 team in the country in terms of first quarter scoring. That's how good they have been in shutting things down. Third quarter scoring, they're the number 1 team in the country. 16 total points in the third quarter this year, just 6 in SEC conference play. They've been able to make adjustments and make things happen. But when you start talking about where their place is in college football, if you give up, let's say, 18 points in a game, which Georgia's been there before. They were there last year. That's pretty good. That's going to rank you as one of the top teams in the country. Georgia right now is giving up 9.7 or 9.8 points per game. The only team in that stratosphere is Clemson, who's at 9.7. Now, if you go back, you have to go back to 2011 Alabama. That was the team that lost in overtime to LSU, then had the rematch and stomped them from there. They were giving up 7.7 points per game.
Okay.
When you look at the top 3 opponents that Georgia's played, top 25 opponents, you're talking about Notre Dame, you're talking about Florida, you're talking about Auburn. 17, 17, and 14 points in a game. So what is it? If you believe this is really one of the best defenses in the country, and again, the best in nearly a decade along with Clemson, well, then that's what they are. If you believe it's because of who they've played, weather conditions, things like that, well, then you're going to find out one way or another. And I think that's ultimately what's so fascinating about this game today. It's that if you're ever going to prove that you're deserving of that kind of accolades, go out and hold LSU to 17 points. Go hold them to 20 points, because that would be totally doing something to LSU that they have not really dealt with outside of the Auburn game.
You going to tell them what you told me earlier this week?
Tell it.
What was your number?
So,
you know how we all have a number, home team?
we all have a number.
Not women we slept with.
Okay.
We have that number, too.
Everybody has that number, right?
People usually fudge that number, too.
I've gone through so many numbers. Like, first off,
Los looks at me today, a couple days ago, and he goes, Hoyt, you might be able to get 23 and win this game. And I was shocked when I heard that.
It's entirely possible.
And this is when he was just looking at film and he was breaking the numbers down and everything else.
But ideally, if you will hold them to, on average, Georgia faced 11 possessions a game. That's what they were. If you throw out the Auburn game and you throw out the low with Florida, they're averaging right about 11 possessions per game.
And by the way, the Auburn game was because you had 10 3 and outs. Is LSU holding Georgia to 10 3 and outs today?
No.
They shouldn't.
So if this team is able to, let's say, play it to a 9 or 10 possession ball game, all right, you're going to get, what Georgia's basically allowed, is probably about 4 opportunities to score. Are you going to score touchdowns on all 4?
No.
That's the thing. That's where you start talking about that. How do I limit possessions and then play to my normal averages, which is, listen, if you get 11 possessions, you're probably going to get about 4 opportunities to score.
Ultimately,
what are you going to do with them?
Ultimately, home team, Los and I have talked about this for a couple weeks now. How do you win in this conference? How do you win college football?
And you win football the way you always win football.
Physical.
Big people beat up other big people on the offensive side of the line. Then on the defensive side of the ball, those big people beat up the offensive people on the offensive side of the ball.
And
that's how you win football.
That's how you win.
And you heard Coach O talking about it, how Georgia is better in the trenches than LSU. And we would all say that Georgia has the better defense. I've been raised knowing that you run the ball, you play defense, and you win in the trenches. And that's what Kirby's done here, and that's I can't get past that. You can throw all the numbers at me, and it is the Heisman Trophy winner that's going to be on the field today. I've been taught you win the game this way, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the game has passed me by and has passed Kirby by and everything else. I truly believe that's the way you win a football game, though.
I have a hard time believing that in this day and age, watching the things that we've seen, we joked around about it earlier in the week on the podcast, when everyone was talking about, man, New England's going to have to beat Kansas City, and then they're going to have to deal with one of these offensive juggernauts out of the NFC.
Saints or the Rams.
Rams got 3 points. At a certain point, defense and just here it is football works. And it works at the highest level. It works at the lowest level of football. Today, it's what's going to be on display. Your fireworks versus my big, tough football.
All right, when we get back, the hopes and dreams of Ohio State rest on a brace. We'll get to that. Home team, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. This is College Game Day, live from Sports and Social here in the Battery, Atlanta on the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM.
If you've got
Totally
Alexa,
with you, home
you've
team.
always
Said,
got the
don't use
fan.
the word.
Just tell Alexa, play 680 The Fan, and you'll get the live stream 24/7 right on your smart speaker.
About 1 in 40 men will suffer from prostate cancer, but most men diagnosed will survive. At Urology of Greater Atlanta, we're helping people prevent and survive prostate.
So this will basically take us right up until the tech game at 11:30.
Including surveillance.
Yeah, there's no break here.
Brachytherapy and hormone treatment. We have 7 board-certified urologists.
I'll do like
and locations and can generally accommodate appointments within 1 to 2 days. Call 770-474-5281 or visit ugatl.com.
Football season has arrived, and Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse is ready to help you celebrate. A memorable evening awaits you, featuring USDA prime steaks, fresh seafood, chef-made side dishes, and an award-winning wine list.
Hey, Keith,
so whether it's
what is our out time?
So there's no break here, but I'll do like 60 seconds of promo, so 58 or 28.
28? All right.
Yeah, and then one more scoreboard.
This is Jay with Engineered Solutions of Georgia. I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. We had a great year thanks to you, our customers.
This is Lewis with Engineered Solutions of Georgia, and I want to take this time to thank all of our employees. So hats off to our staff for being so committed to doing whatever it takes. You are all professionals and a joy to work with every day.
Happy holidays.
Who really knows you? The thoughts of your heart, the secret things that you intentionally keep hidden from others. Do you share your innermost thoughts with anyone? Some may say a spouse or a best friend. Yet I suggest that even though you may think you know yourself well and that some can see the real you, no one knows you more completely than the one who created you. God says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. It only makes sense that in order to know and understand ourselves, we need a personal relationship with the one who knows us best and loves us more than anyone. He knows all of our failings and shortcomings, and he loves us anyway. Through Jesus Christ, we have the privilege of having a personal relationship with our Creator. That relationship begins when we accept God's love through faith. It's a relationship that lasts forever. This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
Visit rightfromtheheart.org and click Devotions to read the daily devotion and send to a friend.
We have to be ready for anything. Every day is different. It could be a medical call, it could be a suspicious vehicle.
Anne-Marie is a police officer.
We need to communicate with everybody, from the person that takes the initial phone call, our dispatchers, to the fire department and EMS.
When you choose America's most reliable network, your team is ready.
My name is Anne-Marie, and I'm ready.
Visit Verizon.com/public safety. Most reliable network claim based on root metrics by IHS Market's root score report dated 1st F 2019. Results may vary, not an endorsement.
In sports, the ability to perform in stressful situations is key to success. But did you know that too much stress can affect your body and mind and even lead to chronic illness? Taking control of stress is easier when you have a plan, a period of time to unwind, a location to de-stress, an activity to enjoy, and a name of somebody to talk to. Start managing your stress better and take control of your health. Cigna, together all the way. To learn more, visit Cigna.com/MyStressPlan. Products and service offered by Cigna Health and Life Insurance Company or its affiliates.
Hey Atlanta, 'tis the season for celebration. And with catering available on the Chick-fil-A app, planning your holiday party has never been easier. For parties big or small, you can order delicious trays that are sure to please all your guests. From nuggets to chicken strips or mac and cheese, the perfect tray is only a tap away.
This is College Football Saturday on 680 The Fan, powered by Georgia's own credit.
Stand by.
The Fan's College Game Day, live from Sports and Social, keeping you up to speed on all the afternoon college action on the college.
58.
The South, The Fan.
28.
And 93.7 FM.
Welcome back in to College Game Day Championship Saturday, live from Sports and Social here in the Battery, Atlanta. Home team, Brandon Leak from the Sports X, Carlos Medina, Brian Hoyt. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being part of the 680 Dickey Broadcasting Sports X community.
Listening to us means that you're a great American.
I would agree. Good Americans listen.
You know what else makes you a great American?
What's
I
that?
don't advocate this because I don't have the huevos to do this sort of thing. So I'm driving down 400, and there was once again, because it happens every day on 400, the very slow driver in the far left lane.
Yeah, I don't like that. Then we start handing out tickets.
So the dude in the big black truck decides not only as he just is tired of driving behind this person at like 60 miles an hour to swerve wildly around them and just get close enough to scare the urine out of them.
Well, yeah, you got to let them know what's up.
To where that person started immediately moving over to the right, and I just thought to myself, you, sir, who pulled that move, while I would never do it, is a great American. Thank you.
We need more.
We need more people intimidating drivers, slow drivers in the left lane on 400. I'm an advocate for this.
I don't run them off the road. Man.
No.
He's not saying
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you let them know one way or another that they need to stay out of the far left lane on 400 driving 60
Are you a
miles an
horn
hour.
guy? Do you lean on the
No,
horn?
horn don't
See,
do
I,
nothing.
I stay away from the horn.
No, I'm not a horn.
I'll hit you.
I'm even the guy that when you don't jump the light when you're sitting there and the lights turn green and you're still sitting there.
Yeah, I don't blow a horn either.
No, I give you a little pip.
A little tap.
The
Just a
polite
little,
horn.
Yeah, the polite horn.
It's
yeah.
like an excuse me, basically, from your car.
Now,
Excuse
the
me?
time I will lay on the horn is when you do something so dumb that I saw coming where I'm like, you know what, this person's about to turn right across me, right into and I will and I'm doing it because I'm hoping they pee themselves a little bit. Like they're like, oh my God, this guy's about to T-bone me. I'm not, but I want to scare the S out of them.
I'm more passive-aggressive when it comes to it. If you're driving slow in the far left lane, I will pull my car right up next to you and just give you a big thumbs up and just let you know you're doing a great job
doing a great
driving
job.
and slowing everybody down. Then I'll pull away.
I just try to avoid negative contact, so I try not to. I'm with you, Los. Unless there's something where you cut me off and then stand up on the brakes, I won't lean on. I'll lean on the horn for that, but I will not go out of my way to lean on the horn because I think that can lead to other things.
Yeah, I don't want to
people following you around.
Yeah, I don't want any of that.
Following you to the
and
next
again, I don't
light.
want anybody to get hurt. I just want whoever's driving extremely slow in the far left lane on 400 to recognize that you should not be doing that. That's all.
Just look out. Be kind to one another. And
Yeah.
realize when you're on the road, you're sharing it with everybody else.
Listen, did your dad ever show you the belt or any kind of level of discipline where you went uh-oh?
How you think I got here today?
Okay.
Wilding
Yeah,
out,
see?
driving slow in the fast lane.
Thank you.
No.
If
all
we
I'm
could all
saying
use
is-
a belt on other drivers,
All I'm saying
we would
is
be fine.
These tactics
No
can
traffic.
kind of be like the belt, where you recognize, because somebody, clearly it wasn't your parents, it wasn't anybody else, didn't explain to you that you don't drive like that in the far left lane, actually causing problems. This is the belt. This is the belt action. Then somebody let you know, hey, because your mama didn't do it, your daddy
You're right.
didn't do it, I got to do it in my big black truck, scare the urine out of you, you get out of that lane, and you stay out of that lane.
Sounds like the name of a song. I got to do it in my big black truck. You might write that down. You might be on to something.
I got to call Nashville.
I could be country or rap.
Man.
A whole lot going on today as we take our final look at the Georgia United Credit Union scoreboard. First game in the books last night, the Pac-12 Conference Championship game. The champions of the Pac-12, the Oregon Ducks, they blow out the Utes of Utah 37-15. 12 o'clock today, it will be Oklahoma and Baylor. It will be Georgia and LSU at 4 o'clock, 7:30. You're going to have the ACC title game, Virginia and Clemson. And then the last game, the Big Ten Championship, it will be Ohio State and Wisconsin. Does Ohio State's hopes, dreams, college football playoff chance of being champion ride on that left knee brace of Justin Fields?
It's the worst feeling as a sports fan, knowing that anytime my guy goes down, because we were here at Sports and Social for the Penn State and the Michigan game?
Yes.
For both of them. We saw them both go down, and we were all like, oh, that don't look good.
Why is he throwing? Why is he in the game?
It's the worst feeling as a fan thinking that my guy could go down at any time. Look at Tua this year. Going into that LSU game, every Alabama fan was thinking, is this the one where Tua could possibly go down? And obviously as it played out, my hopes and dreams all rely on that. Justin is too good of a guy, too good of a quarterback, everything else, that you don't want to see that happen for him. You hate to see that happen, especially on an athlete like that. You hate seeing that happen to somebody. So I don't think it's going to affect him in any way.
That offense is still J.K. Dobbins. Everything comes off of J.K. Dobbins. It allows Justin Fields he can start slow. He can throw a couple of 4-yard passes. It's much easier when Dobbins is cranking out 7-8 yards at a time or busting the big 40, 50-yard run. So as long as I got a guy who's 65, 70%, I don't want you running around. But I want you making sure you can hand the ball off and protect yourself back there.
Well, it just looks like you just said, Los. It'll just be more carries, 4 or 5, whatever it is, more carries to J.K. Dobbins to protect what they do. Obviously, they like to read options, so they want a quarterback who's out there moving. But if he is going to be limited, and he came back in the game after he got hurt and throws a laser beam for a touchdown, now having a week to see how that thing is going to feel, if you have to protect your quarterback a little bit more, you probably want to do so by running the football.
I'll be very curious because we've already seen this game play out once before where Wisconsin hung around for a half and then got blown out in the third quarter. I'm curious to see what happens if Ohio State is lacking some of the multifaceted portions of their offense. As you said, read option. I can't read option in good conscience. I can't read option my quarterback who just got knocked out of a game and is now with a knee brace.
Or if he can't run, the read option is not as effective. One guy can't run.
I can't do these sorts. I can't do these sorts of things. If I'm Ryan Day. So does that make it a little bit easier for Wisconsin to defend them? I think that's going to be one of the things I'll be watching for tonight.
Sports and Social having a big-time bash here. We want to say thanks to them all year long. It's a great place to come watch a game. They have that $2,000 VIP tab that they're giving away, and folks are going to be down at the tailgate today. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of energy here. Time, gentlemen, for us to make our picks. What are you thinking? How does Championship Saturday shake out? Let's start from the back end and finish up with Georgia, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. Even with a banged-up Justin Fields, I still think they are 14 points better than Wisconsin, and I think they're going to be undefeated and qualify for the college football playoff.
Kind of feels like this is going to be one of those 34-17 kind of games where Ohio State does what they do. They play really good defense. They're not the Clemson, Georgia kind of numbers, but they're number 3 in the country for a reason. They are very good defensively, and their offense just leans on you with J.K. Dobbins. That's the way I'm going.
They're the best team in the country. They're the most complete team in the country overall. They win this thing running
Dabo
away.
Sweeney's going to be upset with you. He thinks he's the best team in the country.
I'll play somebody, Dabo.
He gets a chance, and the situation is the man has an ACC title game. I think he's going to win by 30.
Oh, he covers.
Oh, yeah.
He covers.
He covers.
Good for him.
Yeah, I think he's going to win by 30.
Oh, and by the way, thank you to Safe Ride. That's who's going to be getting me home this evening from the Battery. If you need any kind of assistance where they'll come out and also grab your car and take it home, 404-888-0887. Plan accordingly. Be smart today, everybody.
I think Oklahoma beats Baylor. I'm going to say 30-28. And I think the LSU game is going to be close.
If you're going to be negative, you can just turn your mic off right now, home team.
Win 27-24.
Dogs win
27-24.
28-17. Don't let Miles Brennan beat you. Do not let another backup quarterback beat you in this damn stadium.
Dogs win 23-20.
Want to say thanks to Derek Thomas.
We'll
Thanks
see
to
you in
Keith.
Glendale. Glendale.
Yeah, we'll be broadcasting live from Arizona next. See you there.
And keep your station locked to the Fan, 680 93.7 FM.
The Fan is giving you the best gift in the city, hooking you up with 5 Atlanta experiences all on one card for a special price of only $68. The Fan Around Town card is the gift that keeps on giving and scores you range time for 2 at Main Street Guns and Range, a fresh local beer tasting experience from Atlanta Brewing Company, and even a day of pinball that's bowling with footballs and pin and proper. Plus, for the lady in your life, you'll get a wine class for up to 4 people at the Gifted Ferret and a 5-class pass to DDP Yoga. All on one card for a special price of just $68. Get yours now before they're gone at 680thefan.com.
The Fan is always with you. Just tap that app.
The Fan app gets you instant access to the live streams